Today's business terrain is complex, but managing your business risks doesn't have to be. Cover Buddies is Malaysia's preferred insurance provider. Get that peace of mind knowing that our consultants can help you source and manage your insurance portfolio. For more information, visit our website at www.coverbuddies.com.
All right, guys, welcome to the official Cover Buddies podcast. And today I have with me Miss Anna Chew, the founder of ReULiving, who is modernizing post-recovery. I've been waiting for a long time for this. I think we've talked about this for a while, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
So Anna and I actually connected on LinkedIn. So let me just give a brief intro about Anna, okay? She is the CEO of ReULiving, which is a post-hospitalization recovery center. And she's also the founder and CEO of Meaningful Life, an award-winning elder care solutions provider and operator. She's also the investor and CMO of Care Concierge, another award-winning startup providing nurses, therapists, and caregivers. And in 2019, received the Wow Digital's Startup Disruptor of the Year, raised over 18 million and exited. Nice. And before that, way back, she was a co-founder and managing director of Resonance, one of the first digital agencies in Malaysia. Then it got acquired by Beatty Communications, which basically means it also got acquired and she exited. Nice one, Anna.
Thank you.
So Anna, tell us a little bit about what ReULiving is all about and what problem it aims to solve.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, David. It's really exciting. So ReU itself is what we call an assisted living facility. I think it's not a term that is familiar to Malaysians, but under assisted living, actually, we define our own market segments. We do two things over there, which is we help seniors who are aging and need some form of assistance, perhaps with ADLs, or they just want the safety and security of knowing that there's care and help when they need it. And the second thing that we do very much so is post-op recovery for things like stroke, for things like even cardiac, orthopedic. Those are the key things that we've focused on and specialized in.
How did this concept of ReULiving come about? I mean, from my understanding, okay, layman here, my understanding is that some of the hospitals already provide some of these services. I mean, what made you sort of see that, look, you know what, there is a need out there in the market for these sort of facilities? So how did that come about? What inspired you, really?
Okay, so we cover two sets of markets, right? We talk about the senior living bit and then the post-op recovery. So on senior living, we always hear people talk about their retirement, and they say, I want to stay in Jandabai in a property, or I want to go on a cruise. So it's very, very lifestyle based. And you think about those and you say, hey, if I have it in a center, what would it look like? It can also be a hotel, right? And so what I did was, the concept is a landed cruise. So that fulfills that market need where you can't do it in a hospital. Hospitals have tried, but who wants to retire or age in a hospital, right? I think this is a really simple common sense that we employed. And a lot of it is also design thinking. And so we went to post-op recovery. Imagine being hospitalized. It is considered a crisis situation. I would say nobody wants to be hospitalized, And then the moment that happens, you can't go from that to staying on in a prolonged manner to say that I'm going to also recover here. So the environment has to change. There's a reason why, after a very particularly stressful time, people go on holidays as well. So we say, why can't they then apply this and take a break from the crisis that has just happened? And so we facilitate the recovery with an ambience that is like a getaway. It gives you a break from all the crisis that you've just been through, gives a reprieve for your family members as well who has gone through the same problems with you, and say, here, why don't you get professional care? Also in cases like, I personally went through a lot with my late dad. He had a heart condition, and then he had a surgery they were supposed to implant a pacemaker. That didn't go well, and he ended up in the ICU, and it just went downhill from there. So from my learnings, I think we had a lot of pain post-op. And then my mom had to step in. This was many years ago, yeah, like 15 years ago. So I think the scene then was different, but it remained in my mind to say, how do I solve this for families in Malaysia? And so if you look at Malaysia itself, there is no post-op recovery. People come out and think that they should go home, even after a stroke, unfortunately, to go home and hire a maid, one person, right, that they have to rely on to actually play a lot of roles, and we'll cover that later. Or they choose to go to an old folks home. What if it's young people like us going through surgery for, say, whatever reasons, a bike accident, things like that? We can't transfer from a hospital to an old folks home. So what solution is available? Almost none. And that's why we build it based on the market demand that we saw.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely second your thoughts on that, because of all the people I've met who have gone to hospital, have been admitted to hospital, the first thought that comes to mind is that they just can't wait to get the hell out of there,
Yeah.
right? That's all they're asking. It's like,
Who
basically,
wants to remain longer,
right?
right?
I mean, and no disrespect to the hospitals, of course, because they're doing their jobs on it. But it's just that hospitals, number one, you can barely get any sleep because someone's always coming in, they're going out, and it's busy. And the moment you sleep, you get disturbed and so forth. So it's not exactly a great experience. Let's put it that way. You're a lot more comfortable in a home setting, so to speak.
And in a way, for recovery, because it's very, very different, yeah, I think we always tell people that there is a stable period where everything is stable. You can actually go and recover. But rather than going home, we say, come over and have a full recovery. So the learning about recovery is it has to be complete. It's not half. If you are still hobbling, you're still having problems, you're still having pain, things like that, you should need to go to a recovery center. If you need medical attention, please remain in a hospital. So I think we need to learn how to differentiate, and that's where we come in as professionals to also advise families. A lot of times, unfortunately, families do not understand these phases, and it is actually, for the doctor to also advise them very, very carefully, I would say.
And especially during the recovery period, I think you hit the nail on the head there, because most people, they would think, okay, let's say post-op and so forth, I can always get the helper to help you out and so forth. And I think the helpers, they do a great job, in that respect. However, not exactly trained professionals. It's different. So it does make a difference. And at the same time, while you're recovering, the daily toll of life also gets to you, because there's still chores, there's still laundry to be made, and sometimes there is a certain diet that you may need to adhere to, right? So it can get in the way. And I suppose these are some of the services that you may have also at your center.
Yes, I think we take post-op recovery for a stroke as a very good example. You come out and we recommend a certain protocol in for you to get well very quickly, because you have a very, very small window, and we want to make sure you optimize that window for full recovery. And so the moment you come in, we do intense rehabilitation. For example, two things are covered. Physiotherapy is very important, and we have one of the most advanced physio centers in Malaysia with robotics and things like that. The second thing that we actually recommend as a ReU protocol is actually TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Both these services and the physicians, the professionals are available in-house. We also, in order to support that, have a speech therapist, even a dietitian, for times where people are on tube feeding, transiting, things like that, even counselors and things like that. And all the services plus a 24/7 care is available on premise, I would say. And, we supply the food. If you have to have blended food, you have to have a special diet and things like that. So all these things, you imagine if you go home, you actually, in order to recover, you need a team of it. But people go back and hire one maid. How is that going to, you can just see that, oh my goodness, which one do you think has a better chance of recovery? We just ask questions like that. And we ask people to ask questions like that for their own care, their own wellness as well.
It's true. I mean, and in most instances, people don't really think about it. We don't really give it much thought until it actually happens, right? Then you realize, holy cow, the logistics that come into play. It's, you need an entire village to actually help you out.
Yes, and sometimes we talk about also, they say, hey, it's available. All these people that you mentioned, they will come to the home. Yes, they will, but they cannot carry all the specialized equipment. We believe that technology also has a part to play, in our wellness. I mean, it has a part to play in our health, overall health and wellness. And likewise in recovery, it is very, very important. So one of it with a tech equipment, one session of it is equivalent maybe to 3 or 4 manual sessions. So if you're doing physio once a week, which is really, really not enough, you should be doing it daily. If you do it once a week, that means in one session we've done a 1 month's physio for you. So you imagine these comparisons, it really, really has to sit in our mind for proper recovery, because Malaysia never had such a facility. And that's why we really need to offer this to people who really understand about, the physiology of the body, the recovery processes and things like that.
Yeah, I totally hear you on that, because I remember when I hurt my back, and mind you that the hospital at that time, so I had basically I claimed insurance obviously, and basically there was physio treatment recommended, and the hospital itself was like probably 8 minutes. This was in Kota Damansara, and I lived there, and the hospital was just around the corner, 8 minutes door to door. And even for me to hit for physio for that, and I was going literally daily, it just became so cumbersome because I was in pain. You get there, you sit down, you wait your turn, just like everyone else. You get yourself sorted out, then you head back, and then you clean up because you've just been to the hospital, and it was cumbersome. What you're sharing here is that at the end of the day, the solution for post-recovery and so forth, it's turnkey. Everything else is all sorted out for you.
Yes, and you can recover very, very quickly. So, for example, all these things, orthopedic, I went through the same thing, right? I had slipped disc with sciatica, so we both went through the same thing. And what happened is you also have to get family members involved. Like it's not just okay, Anna, if we don't bring the equipment over, we can still send parents over to the home, from home to physio, home to TCM, home to you imagine. Imagine the person is also paralyzed, right? We were semi-paralyzed when you have a slip disc, and the experience itself was something that allowed me to design what I think is the best way. So imagine if I had this service, rather than going through months sleeping on the floor, trying to move myself in and out for physio, the pain and all that kind of thing, other therapies. I get it all in one center, and I do a very intense session in 3 weeks. So usually for orthopedics, we recommend like a 3 to 6 week, package that we have that just focuses on getting you there to recovery in a very intense manner. And so in 3 weeks, if I would have solved it rather than waiting 3 or 6 months, I would actually choose that option because it allows me to go back to my daily life, go back to family, carry your children again, right? Go back to sports, go back to work even, also without it bugging you so much. I mean, driving was affected, everything. I mean, normal life was affected, and we have to stop trying to think that we can just rest off our recovery.
You mentioned 3 weeks, did you, Anna? And all you need is 3 weeks?
Well, 3 weeks is a very, very good period for you to achieve a lot of recovery, right? From our studies, from past results, even for people who are more senior. Of course, then the more senior you are, it takes about 3 to 6 weeks. Nowadays as well for orthopedic, if you had gone through a surgery, I would say the technology in the hospital itself is also very advanced. Doctors are great. We have, one of the most skilled set of physicians in Malaysia. Sometimes they come out within days. They are good. But there are some who have not exercised all their life. So there's also something else we recommend, which is pre-surgery physio, right? To strengthen. So when you come out, you can recover faster. So all these are things that nobody actually taught us. Nobody actually would tell us about these things. We just talk about surgeries, or you have pain, you have problems, you just go for surgery. But no one actually thinks about proper recovery. So surgery is only one bit of the recovery. If you have forgotten about the rehab bit, you're basically missing out on a full recovery journey.
Absolutely. And you never quite recover from that, or you never quite improve as well as you should if you miss that bit.
Yes, and we don't want people to miss it, right? It's like people ask, is it necessary? I would say yes. I mean, you want to be fully well, isn't it? When you go in, you are sinking so much money, so much time, so much effort. Might as well, like buy your ticket or buy your insurance towards full recovery.
So just to circle back, because this has really got my attention, I can totally relate to this when you mention, like, for example, slip disc and all that, and let's say for recovery in general, 3 weeks. So on a daily basis, you have people taking care of you, preparing your meals, obviously handling your laundry, and of course, most important, getting the right medical attention. In other words, you have your physiotherapist and all that all in place, and they're going to help you daily.
Yes, so you see, on days you're going to wake up and it's very, very sore. Usually, okay, coming out from surgery, or usually, right after the event has happened, you have a lot of inflammation, you have a lot of pain. So rather than going straight into physio, you may want to do pain management to begin with. And so all the equipment is there available, at your doorstep to do this. In case during the day you continue to feel some kind of problems, at least you have proper help. You stay at home. I mean, at our age, you stay at home. Either your wife has to go, kind of take leave, and who is so available. Can't expect your senior parents to be taking care of you. I think it's not fair. We have to go past this village mentality of, okay, let's all the family gather to make sure we become caregivers. Because really, when they are not free, they replace themselves with a maid. I mean, if you hear that, it's like, did I quit my job just to take over a maid's role? And sometimes we also say pay the money because it affects the whole economy of the country as well. A nation suffers. We don't think through the actual opportunity cost of all these things happening.
That's really true. And that's basically how this whole thing came about. Are there, I mean, I know I shouldn't be asking this question, but are there a lot of players out there that offer similar services?
I think more players have emerged of late, and they try to offer the same service. But it is actually very good for Malaysians that we now have options beyond a hospital or beyond an old folks' home, isn't it? And something that is also less sterile in nature. I think each of them have their own part to play, and it's really up to market to say, hey, I like this kind of environment. I like your idea, the protocols, and I always tell people, please go and look at others. They always ask me why I'm better, and that's something that you probably ask me too. But a lot of it, I say, do your research, visit the place, see what you're comfortable with, talk to the people, and then you come to a conclusion. So I think options are very, very important. Now that we have options that look like this, it's getting better. It means Malaysians have access to better care. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that, there are all these players out there. So I welcome it. I think it's good, and they create market awareness at the same time.
Yes, and Malaysians also benefit in general. So that's also a good thing that we are, lack of a better word, moving up in terms of quality, not just healthcare, but elderly care perhaps, or post-recovery care.
Yes, and actually not just Malaysians. So the funny thing is, now with the arbitrage in our ringgit, right, we have gotten quite a bit of fame in terms of working with seniors. So that's our specialization. We are very, very good with seniors recovery. And we also have another package called the senior strengthening. We do not believe that people need to be in a wheelchair. Everyone should be able to walk. It's a matter of the physiology, right? Your muscles and all that. And so we bring them in on a senior strengthening package. And because of arbitrage, we actually have a lot of people coming from down south, to come over to our country to actually enjoy this, because they say, my goodness, okay, I'm living, so well, I'm getting better. And when you talk to them, you see they are very, very encouraged. So tell me, when was the last time a place, could encourage your senior to do physio every day? You send them to us, we can do it for you.
Just for the benefit of our listeners, I actually visited Anna's center, and it's right in the heart of KL. Very impressive. Basically, it's literally a hotel sort of environment.
So it is a hotel, yeah. What's not to like about, if I personally had to do a recovery, so it goes back to where the idea came from. I'm like, hey, if I have to do a recovery, I want somewhere really nice so that it's not sterile, it's not an old folks home, so that I feel encouraged, right? So there are so many aspects that add to overall wellness of a person. And so we study each one and say what would benefit a person most. And we give you that optimum chance of recovery. That's what it is.
What are the future plans for ReULiving at this point? I mean, I think you talked a little bit about a center down in Johor.
Yeah, so that is definitely one of it, that we are pursuing. Actually, around the whole of Malaysia, we should have another one available at the end of the year in the heart of Klang Valley itself, because we do see a demand, and I think people are starting to understand. It's more accessible also to the PJ folks. That's a bit of a clue, and for us, it's really going down to the rest of the country, where we think we serve Malaysians very well. We've earned a reputation even out of the country, and we did win Operator of the Year after all. Competing against Singaporeans, Australians, and all that. We won Operator of the Year last year, so that is actually a stamp of quality of what we've been providing to the market.
Stamp of approval.
Exactly, right.
It's nice. It's all nice. I think earlier today I saw on LinkedIn also one of the postings where I think you guys also bagged an award from the Star.
So it's an assisted living award. So more and more, I think it's good that we do see a trend that people say, hey, it's not that easy to just hire anyone and rely on one person. So you imagine when you're staying with us, you actually have a team, even if you don't take the professionals, just a team of caregivers alone rotates, right? So they are not tired, they are full on, they're observing you well and things like that. So our ratios are very low. It's like 1 to 3 or 4 per carer. And so, when you look at that, it's like you need a whole team to support. Even they themselves need a team.
I feel a lot more at ease knowing that at least help is just right there, and literally, that's nice. I think so far you've talked a lot about basically offering to end consumers and so forth. Do you have any plans for working, let's say, with corporates?
Okay, so that's really interesting. I think definitely we want to work with corporates. You imagine if I tell a corporate company that your people are getting well faster. It means that they can return to work better in a proper state of mind because they're fully recovered, and also faster rather than they have to work through injuries, they have to take off days, they have to take MCs to go and see their physio and continue on. It's very, very troublesome. I would say you just use that time, do an intense one, and then be able to return to your daily living. And that's what we propose for them to be able to see that that's another option that they can consider. For the corporates, actually, there's another interesting product. We call it a senior staycation. So as we travel, we go off on our business trips, we go on our family holidays. We always say, please don't put the senior in an old folks home or live, like put them alone, without supervision. So give them a holiday as well. We are a 5-star hotel, put them in there where they'll get all the care, all the activities. So I think the community itself is something really fun. So we've had people who like, oh, okay, it's quite nice, and they end up coming back. We have a client that has done a repeat stay for the 3rd time since we opened. So all these are interesting services that we feel fulfills the urban market need, or a need of a corporate or professional.
How can anyone reach out to you, Anna?
Okay, so you can go to our website, ReULiving, that's REU, which stands for Renew, Rejuvenate, Restore, Recover You, our client. And you can also reach us on our care line, which is actually available in the website.
More branches coming up soon all around Malaysia?
Yes. Stay tuned as always.
Thank you so much, Anna. Anna, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you so much, David.
If you enjoyed our show today, be sure to subscribe and follow us on social media, or sign up for our newsletter through our website at www.coverbuddies.com so you'll get all the good stuff sent directly to you.